Today's Patreon shoutout goes to Z. Beledros Witherbloom versus Ghalta Primal Hunger, Quintorius Field Historian, and Sharuum the Hegemon. 2-lander, are we likely to get into another one for Kodama's Reach? I think it's fairly likely. Yeah, we'll keep that. And we do draw on our first turn in multiplayer, get ourselves into a land, so we've got the third land for the Kodama's Reach already. First spell of the game is Elvish Mystic from the mono green player. Noteworthy that there is an Inventor's Fair down the middle as well. Mana Crypt coming in for Ghalta as well as a Swiftfoot Boots down to 3 cards in hand. And another land for us, getting pretty lucky with those. We have mixed up the basics in here because we've got the Field of the Dead, so we've got the regular basics and the snow-covered basics. And then it's Orzhov Signet from Sharuum. And just another colourless land from Quintorius, Arch of Orazca this time. Thrashing Brontodon can take out an artifact or an enchantment for 1 and sacrifice. And they put the Swiftfoot Boots on there. And decide to hold that back. Alright, a Woodland Cemetery for us, so why don't we go for... we'll go for a regular swamp and a snow forest. Regular swamp can go into play. And then we are passing straight over to the Sharuum player. I think we'll go for the Chromatic Lantern next turn. And then we can maybe think about getting Garruk into play. Another rock in Talisman of Progress from the Esper player. And they're Mirrodin Besieged. So probably just going for creating mirrors with this. And they choose Phyrexian. Okay, at the beginning of your end step, draw and discard. So we have to watch out for 15 or more artifacts in the graveyard, because a target opponent will lose the game at that point. The graveyard is empty at this point. And they are already pointing the Mirrodin Besieged at us. Discarding a Mortify. 4 cards in hand. And finally getting into a coloured source in Emeria the Sky Ruin. Nowhere near their planes though, they need 7 or more planes to trigger this. Noteworthy that there is a Rogue's Passage for the Ghalta player now, but hopefully their ramp has been drawn to a halt. A Whisperer of the Wilds for some more ramp. They do not control a creature with power 4 or greater, so it only taps for 1. Okay, well there is Field of the Dead for us. I think we've got time. Does Field of the Dead trigger on itself entering? Yeah, whenever it or another land enters. As if Field wasn't good enough, it triggers itself. Let's go for the Grim backwards and we'll go Chromatic Lantern. Now Trinket Mage from Sharuum. Probably goes after the Soul Ring. That is typically what Trinket Mage will search up. No, instead going for Flayer Husk, which is Living Weapon, equipped creature gets +1/+1. Don't know if there's any kind of combo that you can do with living weapons. Anyway, deciding not to play that, they just pass the turn. This time pointing the Mirrodin Besieged at the mono green player. Another white source coming down from Quintorius, 5 cards in hand, but no red mana yet. And that was Sylvan Awakening from the green player, so getting that going pretty early. Oh, I see, and then Ghalta, yeah, that is cost less because of the power that you control. So turning all the lands into creatures gives him enough power to get the Ghalta into play. So already seeing a 12/12 with Trample. If we can get rid of that, they've got no cards in hand, especially with Life's Legacy, although immediately sacrificing their Ghalta to the Life's Legacy. So we don't have to worry too much about commander damage just yet. Although they do refill their hand up to 12 cards. Then play a basic into a Soul Ring. And it's another land for us. We've got, this will be our 6th land. We can have our 7th with Field of the Dead next turn. I think we go for Garruk here, because I'm thinking that they might have counter magic there. 4 cards in hand. Maybe should go for our commander, but I'm going to try Garruk, because we might be able to get the emblem off with this next turn if we go for Liliana and sacrifice some stuff. So down comes Garruk. We'll make the couple of wolf tokens straight away. And then get a snow-covered forest into play, ready for the Field of the Dead next turn. Thopter Spy Network from the Artifacts player. They'll be able to get Thopters into play and draw an additional card whenever one of their Thopters hits. And they should swing in at Garrick with the Trinket Mage here, but not doing that. They'd want to offer up a Wolf for trade, and then hope that all this stuff turns in sideways as well, although, yeah, they'd only really hit with the Elvish Mystic, because this doesn't have any power. Anyway, the Besieged is going to loot again. They have discarded the Flayer Husk, and this time they discard Skeleton Shard. Another colourless land. I don't know if they're running too many or if they're just getting very unlucky here, but still haven't fixed their colours by turn 5. Just looked at the chat now, and the Quintorius player is a friend of the channel, so Zul Dinger, I'm guessing is how you say the name. Big thank you to you for watching. Hopefully you enjoy this one. Genju of the Cedars. Enchanter Forest can turn it into a 4/4 Spirit. And when the forest is put into your graveyard, you return the Genju of the Cedars from graveyard to hand. So again, a means of dodging board wipes and creating a lot of power. So they might be able to get down their commander again here. And it does have trample, so yep, there it is. Probably see the back of Garrick here. There's haste and hexproof on there. And it does go straight in at the Garrick. So we might as well keep the wolves in play because we can't do anything about this. Garrick goes down either way. Okay, we've got a new one that I think people are sleeping on. This is Plumb the Forbidden. It's an instant and we can draw a bunch of cards, lose a bunch of life in the process, but yeah, if you've got creatures in play, it's automatically a sack outlet, and you can draw cards in the process for only 2 mana at instant speed. Not hearing a lot of people talking about this one, but I highly rate it. Got high hopes for it in this deck. It might be that the green player can fight. Might see counter magic or removal here, but we have to be worried about the mono green player, surely. Won't play Field of the Dead out just yet. That might encourage them to counter our commander. Let's just go for the Beledros here. And then we'll pay the 10 life immediately. That will untap all of our lands. I should have gone for Field of the Dead first. We could have had some extra mana there. Alright, we'll just go for the Swamp then. That's an error on my part. Should have had Field of the Dead in play by now. But I want to be able to go Dictate of Erebos and Plumb the Forbidden. So yes, we'll leave it like that for now. And hopefully we can keep our Beledros in play. We'll need to sacrifice 4 creatures with Dictate of Erebos in play. So we need to at least get to the Quintorius side of the field with our Beledros. Might be that the Esper player wipes the board though. Now we each get a token. We get a Pest, and the Thopter Spy Network will create a Thopter. Now a Trading Post. Single blue pieces of mana keep being held up over here, so I don't know if they've got Disdainful Stroke or, I don't know, Remand or something like that in hand. Negate is always one to play around. Okay, now drawing a card with this. So that is 1 tap, sacrifice an artifact. And whenever an artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses a life. They point that at the Boros player. Getting rid of the Thopter token to do that, by the way. Then the Besieged being pointed at us again, going for another loot. This time just getting rid of a plane, so not adding to the artifact count in the bin. I'm just looking here actually. This is only 2 to activate, so we're actually going to go for Plumb the Forbidden during the upkeep here, so that they'd be able to dodge with our pests. We'd have 5 on this turn but only 4 here. They'd be able to dodge sacrificing the Ghalta by sacrificing the land instead if this was activated, which it would be because I imagine they want to keep their Ghalta. So we will wait until the mono green player's turn to do this. There is now double blue held up over here, unfortunately, in Seat of the Synod. Only 2 cards left in hand, though. Now a Junk Troller. I think that's the first spell of the game for the Quintorius. So now we have to be very careful. We can do this during the upkeep. I don't think it makes any difference if we let the green player untap before we get down the Dictate of Erebos. Maybe we do it now to see if they want to counter anything, but they can do that during the upkeep anyway, so we'll make sure that we get a pest token first. And I think our opponent got bolted there as well. Let's go for the Dictate of Erebos. I don't think we'll bother with Plumb the Forbidden if the Dictate of Erebos doesn't land, although they have passed priority, the blue player, so looks like we're going to be able to do this. Hopefully they don't have a flash creature. We sacrifice 5 creatures, we'll lose 5 life and draw 5 cards, pretty damn good for 2 mana. And that means that everyone else has to sacrifice 5 creatures thanks to the Dictate. It also means that we gain 3 life straight back from the pest, so we only lost 2 life effectively. And now Thrashing Brontodon going on to the Dictate of Erebos, but the triggers are already on the stack. Even if they did have a flash creature, it would be too late now. They do have to sacrifice the Ghalta. Then the copies are put onto the stack. So it's actually 6 cards that we draw here because we get 5 copies and then the original as well. So yeah, 6 cards and 6 life lost. And get into the Grave Pact immediately. So that replaces the Dictate of Erebos. 10 the Pests is another new one from Strixhaven. And we'll be able to make a bunch of pests with that if we get into a big creature. Our commander's only a 4/4, and we don't really want to sacrifice that anyway. And then Swiftfoot Boots will help to protect our commander. Then an artifact went into the graveyard from the battlefield in the Junk Roller, so we got hit for 1 by the Disciple of the Vault. Won't have to worry about that for much longer. Getting rid of both the Disciple and the Ghalta was the Ghalta that we were worried about, obviously. But they are back up to 6 cards in hand. And then we'll draw with the original Plumb the Forbidden. And it's just another land, so not incredible draws for us. I think we might have cleared the way for Liliana though. We'll start making some zombies with Field of the Dead next turn as well. Be able to make a couple with Sakura Tribe Elder. A Greater Good, that's an excellent sack outlet if you can get into your commander again. And then Creeping Renaissance is permanent type, probably creatures, so they get all the creatures back. We do have a Grave Pact, but do not have a sack outlet at the moment. Plus they'll be able to deal with the sack outlet with that dinosaur. A Champion's Helm for us, so do we do that instead of the Swiftfoot Boots? It does make 10 the Pests better if we have to do that. I think we might have to untap our lands again this turn. Let's go for the Champion's Helm first. Put that straight onto Beledros. And then we can drop down Field of the Dead. And that triggers itself straight away. Should have had that in play already. And then I think it can be Sakura Tribe Elder. Maybe play the Swiftfoot Boots as well, just to try and encourage them to use that dinosaur on one of our equipments. Going down to 15 is quite a lot, but I think we have to take advantage of the fact that we can get Liliana into play here. So let's go for the 10 life again. And we'll get down Liliana, Dreadhorde General. Maybe we do just go for Grave Pact, but yeah, we'll just lose it straight away. There's not really much point in doing that. Let's make a zombie. We can draw a card with Sakura Tribe Elder as well as make a zombie with Field of the Dead. And after that, I think it's just holding up 10 the Pests. Yeah, let's swing in at the mono green player. Now a Thought Cast with Affinity for Artifacts. I think that will only be a single mana to draw 2 cards. Yeah, they've only tapped down 1 land there, so go up to 4 in hand. There is a Reshape. As an additional cost, sacrifice an artifact, search for an artifact with CMC, it'll take me a while to learn this one, mana value, MV, X or less, put it onto the battlefield and shuffle. I'm probably always going to call it CMC. Grabbing themselves a grinding station, so in typical Sharuum fashion, this is most likely a combo deck. And speaking of combo pieces, there is a Scrap Trawler, which triggers the grinding station. They can untap that, so tap it in response. if they want to do some self-mill, but choosing not to. I'm not very well versed in all the different Esper artifact combos that you can get down. Just discarding a basic swamp to the Mirrodin Besieged enchantment this time. And there we go, it only took 7 turns, but our friend of the channel, Zuldinga, has finally got the red mana that he needs. Hopefully doesn't lose his commander immediately to our Grave Pact though. Quintorius, Field Historian coming into play. Doesn't have a means of interacting with the graveyard really, I don't think, thus far. Crucible of Worlds would be a really good one for this, because you can guarantee your land drops every turn, but you can also go for sacrificing things like Inventor's Fair and then just playing it straight back out again. Getting an army of pests into play, and the Ghalta player is at 7 cards in hand, so see what he's able to do this turn. I think his commander's going to cost 16 mana at this point. So there's the Elvish Mystic again. And Whisperer of the Wilds. And our friend Thrashing Brontodon coming back into play again, so maybe that'll get pointed over here. And we might be able to go for Grave Pact next turn. There's a Strip Mine, so likely getting rid of Field of the Dead here. Swiftfoot Boots goes on to the Brontodon, so I'm guessing they don't want to sacrifice it this turn if they're looking to protect it. Yep, Strip Mine on Field of the Dead. We could go for Sakura Tribalder here to make a zombie, but I think I'd like to make use of Sakura Tribalder more with, not Pact of Negation, with Grave Pact, so that we can force them to sacrifice an extra creature. We don't really have a classic sack outlet at this point. We can get rid of 2 with Liliana. Sakura Tribalder gets rid of itself, and then we can get rid of something with this if we're desperate. Oh, and then there's Grim Backwards as well, so yeah. Field of the Dead is very good in this deck. It's very good in any deck that it fits in, but yeah, it's not a Field of the Dead deck, so we don't desperately need to keep it. It's just very useful. All of the tokens in this deck are going to be black tokens for things like Iara. That's just a little caveat that I put on the deck myself. So what to do here? Maybe we just minus down the Liliana anyway, because that'll still get rid of this, which I'm assuming they want to keep in play. Not really bothered about getting rid of Quintorius. I actually want to see how this deck runs, but it mainly gets rid of some mana dorks here is what I'm thinking. So we get another pest token. And Parallel Lives is a game changer. Could get them to sacrifice this for a Parallel Lives. I think we do that. Much as I'd love to keep Parallel Lives in play, I want to keep the Grave Pact in play even more. So I think we just turn everything sideways in at the green player here. Apart from the Sakura Tribalder. We'll lose some pests, maybe a zombie or 2 in the process. So blocking a pest with the 0-2. And a zombie with the 3-4. And that is combat this turn. So we'll deal a bunch of damage to them. So we have a creature die there, which means we get to draw a card with Liliana. And there we go, we got them to use their Thrashing Brontodon on the Parallel Lives. So now we are free to go for the Grave Pact. And we'll get rid of some creatures during our second main. Drawing into yet another land. Let's just drop the Forest. Go for Grave Pact here. 3 pips on the Grave Pact in black, so the Chromatic Lantern coming in useful there. Let's see about what we draw with Sakura Tribalder. Actually, we can hold on to that, can't we? Let's minus down with the Liliana and get rid of some dorks. We'll get rid of some pests. So we've got the Grave Pact in play. It's not really doing anything at the moment, but we might be able to make use of the Sakura Tribalder, because we can sacrifice that at instant speed. We will draw some cards for sacrificing the pests. Scrap Trawler is bringing back the Flayer Husk to hand. And Liliana giving us yet another land, but we do get into Beastmaster Ascension, which should be able to get lethal on a player or 2 next turn. 7 creatures we need to swing in with this. Yeah, 7 or more quest counters on it. Okay, so I think we leave it there. Flayer Husk coming down from the 3 colour player over there. And then sacrificing the artifact to have us mill 3 cards. So, yeah, the Flare Husk going down again. Don't really care about milling cards, I don't think. Unless it's infinite. They get rid of even more lands off the top for us, but they do get rid of a Toxic Deluge, which we might wish we had access to later on. Although a Sack Outlet and Grave Pact is pretty much a board wipe. Salvaging Station. Return a non-creature artifact with CMC 1 or less from graveyard to battlefield. Whenever a creature dies, you may untap it. So it looks as though, yeah, they want to go for the Flare Husk. Is this infinite? I think it might be. That comes into play. Whenever a creature dies, you can untap it. You sacrifice the artifact to mill. Yeah, looks like a combo win to me. I think they've got it here. I don't think there's anything that we had access to where we could have gotten rid of that either. We can't even force them to sacrifice the living weapon in response. Whenever an artifact enters untap grinding station, they can just sacrifice it in response. And we can only force them to get rid of the germ. It doesn't force them to get rid of the husk. So about all we can do here, I think, is try and sacrifice a creature and draw into an answer. So, yeah, let's just go for the 10 life here. And we'll go for sacrificing a creature. They'll have to get rid of that Thopter. We'll draw a card with Liliana as well as the Grim Backwoods. So I've got a couple of chances to get rid of an artifact. Wood Elves won't do it. We can actually sacrifice Sakura Tribe Elder to draw with Liliana as well. Salvaging Station triggers on any creature dying as well, so we're going to have to try and play around that as best we can. Yeah, returning it to play there. So, yeah, we don't even have chance to draw a card, do we? Yeah, the fact that it triggers on any creature dying is a real problem there. Yeah, I don't know when we need to do it here. Yeah, we'll just do it now. Might get a Liliana draw that is relevant. Nope, that's just Endrick Sar. Yeah, I don't see us being able to do anything here. Even tend to pests, or tend the pests, only gets us 1 life from sacrificing a pest. Which isn't enough to untap even if we do draw into something. So just for the fun of it, let's go tend the pests. Yeah, and we were just getting into a land anyway. It's a shame because it was looking good for us. But that is Sharuum the Hegemon. No one tends to build her as like a creature-based Thopter deck or anything like that. She is just a combo engine, really. Reanimate combo pieces that you need from your deck. You have like 10 combos in your deck and you can just piece together whatever you end up milling. One of the first decks that I made in Commander when I started playing, like, I don't even know how long ago, but this was all over the place on Magic Online when I first started. Haven't seen her since. Yeah, so we've just been talking in the chat there, and no one has any Eldrazi or any answers to the mill or anything. So that is it for this game, I think. Big thank you to all of you for watching, and a big thank you to Zuldinga for watching the channel as well, and for playing it out. He didn't really do anything throughout this game due to mana restrictions, but decided to play it out anyway for the benefit of all of you. So big thank you to him, big thank you to all of you. I'm tribalkai on the eedi-H channel. Thank you for watching.